I was on my couch in Florida, just kind of watching what was going on with government contracting. And there was more focus in government contracting from the White House and the SBA than I have ever seen. When I got this call, they said, Jackie, what we want to do is set up a new IT system that will allow small businesses to apply for multiple certifications with one application.
All right. Hey, my friend, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Eric?
I'm doing well. Why don't we kick it off for those people who don't know you, which I'm surprised if anyone doesn't know you out here. But why don't you introduce yourself to the folks that may have never heard your name before?
Definitely. And thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Jackie Robinson-Burnette. I'm the Associate Administrator for the Office of Government Contracting and Business Development at the U.S. Small Business Administration. And what that means, that's a big title.
Right.
It means that I oversee every aspect of the federal government small business program, the whole $170 billion a year. All the rules and regulations, all the certification programs, all of the set asides, the NAICS, the size standards, protest, everything, including goaling at the federal agencies. I oversee all the federal agencies' goals and then ensure that they meet those goals and then score them at the end of the year. So it's a big
Wow.
job, um, but I have a lot of wonderful people that are helping me lead the federal government small business program.
Wow. Nice. Now, you were recently put to this job, or how long have you been in this position?
1 year, or I'm coming
Okay.
up on 1 year.
Okay.
So, Eric, some of the listeners may know that I spent over 35 years in the federal government, contracting officer, contract specialist, growing up the ranks and in contracting. And then when I was about maybe a GS 13, I decided to switch over to small business programs leadership and helping small businesses win government contracts. Um, and I, served at the Pentagon, I served at the Army Corps of Engineers, and then I retired from the SBA as a senior executive. I was actually the deputy to the position that I am in now, and I retired after 35 years of service. I need to tell the listeners, even though I did 35 years, I am still only 35 years old.
All right. You guys,
Listen,
you
I
hear
don't I
that?
don't want 'em yeah, I don't want 'em to do the math, like, stay out
Okay.
of my business.
All
Don't
right.
do the math on that one. But
I love
after
it.
retiring, yeah, I moved to Florida, and I got this call, around October, November from the executive office of the president at the White House asking me to come back and do something big at the SBA. And I'm going to talk about it today. And this is the first time I will be sharing this news publicly. And so
Oh,
thank you for, giving me this platform to be able to talk about it.
I love it. Thank you. Now, why did you come back?
You want to get into it already, Eric?
I mean, okay.
Just all in
I
my
just,
business. You know how
I
you are.
I know,
Okay.
listen, okay, well, before you say that, how long have I been stalking you, harass how long? How long have I
Oh
been
my
trying
goodness. Listen, you drug me down. I tell you, it has been a while because it was before I retired.
Mhm. I know,
And that
I
was
know.
back in 2017.
Right.
And so yeah, I'm so happy to finally be here and to have some really good news for you. And
Thank
you're
you. I
persistent.
appreciate it.
Like first let me stop and tell you that I appreciate everything you're doing in the small business community. And I cannot wait to come to Miami.
Yes, and we cannot wait to host you, and, but I will say this, since I've been on this journey, your name's been ringing, like, "You gotta talk to Jackie Robinson, you gotta talk to Jackie Ro" some people says, "That lady with the 2 last names," so I mean, so you have been someone that they've been telling me, "You've gotta talk to her, you gotta get her on your show. She's amazing, she's done great things for the small business community." And so, clearly, anytime I found anyone that said they knew of you, heard of you, and had any way I said, like, "Can you tell her about me? Can you let her know?" And so, hey,
That's
yep,
that's the way to do it,
that's the way
work
to
your
do it.
connections, work your relationships.
Right.
People were sending me all kinds of notes. Hey, have you ever thought of doing an interview, a podcast with Eric? Oh, did he
Right.
send you? Okay.
Hey, that's okay. But guess what? For everyone listening out here, right? Persistence pays off.
It
Um,
pays off. It
right.
pays off.
And also, I will say this, and now I have more connected friends at higher places.
Yes, you
Okay.
do.
And
Yes, you do.
I've come a long way, right? So back then, now I have a bigger stage, a bigger platform to offer. I have more value to bring to the table. So I've also matured along the
Yes.
journey as well. So I think it's been great for both of us, right?
Yes.
This time, because now, right? They always say it doesn't necessarily happen when you want it to happen, but it happens when it's supposed to happen. And I'm a
Exactly.
believer. I'm a believer
You
in that.
have definitely established your brand and your platform, and it's really exciting to see.
Thank
And to me, I mean, it may have for you, it may have seemed like a long time that it took to get to this point, but I think you really did it quickly. You
you. Okay.
really established your brand faster than anybody else that I know.
Thank you for that. Thank you. We have a great team as well, and they're working hard. And I will say we are going back to the Miami event. Last year we had 5 agencies. This year we have 24 confirmed agencies this
Wow.
year. Okay, and we're very
That is
proud of that,
amazing.
right? And we're having more and more people sign on, and we have 3 combatant commands as well that are participating.
Oh, wow. That's
So
huge.
so we're really excited about that, talking about all the new opportunities that exist out here for small businesses. But let's get back to you because this is about you today. And we want to know before you before you come up with the news, we're gonna hold people off, we're gonna suspense a little bit longer. Tell us what brought you back to this role.
So, um, you know, President Biden and the Biden-Harris administration, I was on my couch in Florida, just kind of watching what was going on with government contracting. And there was more focus in government contracting from the White House and the SBA than I have ever seen. The SBA does training, coaching, loans, access to capital, and government contracting. But this administration really seemed to push government contracting in a way that I had not seen before. And I knew the administrator. She was the Honorable Administrator Guzman, who, I mean, she is a super, she's a superstar for real. Like what you see is real with her,
Mm.
and such a dynamic leader and so accessible. Like I meet with her once a week, sometimes twice a week. She would just call me on my cell phone. I think she works 24/7. Um, but she is a dynamic leader, and she's letting me constantly know she has my back. She cares about government contracting. And when I got this call, they said, Jackie, what we want to do is set up a new IT system that will allow small businesses to apply for multiple certifications with one application. And we want to consolidate the team. We have 4 different teams, and it's HubZone, 8A, Woman Owned VetCert. Right now, if a company is eligible for all of those certifications, they have to apply to multiple systems. They have to have multiple logins. They have to submit basically the same documents plus a little bit more into each of these 4 systems to get reviewed for the same ownership control, different things that get reviewed by different teams, different executives, and it just doesn't make sense, and we want to roll that together. And we also need somebody to help understand we have a different budget for veterans than we have for HubZone. We need to, consolidate those budgets. We need to teach all of the people on the teams. If you've only been in the Women Owned Small Business Program, you need to now learn how to do VetCert HubZone 8A, because we don't want an application to we have a new IT system, but then you submit a multiple cert application and now it has to go to different people to review different segments of it. We want every analyst to know every aspect of our certification programs. And so I thought, wow, this seems like impossible. And you want it to happen in less than a year? And everybody knows me, like, don't even call me if you don't have an impossible task. Like, if it's
Mm.
something anybody can do, just let anybody do it. Call me when it's something you don't think anybody can do but me, and you need you need Jackie's brains to do it. So that just helps me think I'm important for a little bit,
Okay.
like, oh,
I love
only
it.
Jackie can do this.
Okay.
Um, but it took, you had to inspire a team, and that's my leadership style. Um, is I like to lead by inspiring people to do more and be more than they ever would have otherwise been willing to do, and just like looking at the bigger picture. And so I I accepted the challenge. I packed up my stuff, jumped on the auto train with my little car, and came up from Florida to DC. And I started like January 2nd, 2024. So, and I'm just so excited about what my team has been able to do. Really, it should have taken 4 years to do what we did, and we did it in less than a year. And I tell you, overtime hours, people just pressed in to do this big thing, and they're so excited about it. Like every day, I start out meetings just reminding people that we've got to be excited about what we're doing, and we got to keep the industry excited. Like that's my favorite word to people just see me. Oh, are we excited? Yes, we are excited.
I can tell you this, if you have not been to her LinkedIn profile, she is like that. She takes pictures and she posts it, and she's like, "Look, if you haven't applied, there's grant out right now. We're looking for women-owned business centers, and we're looking for please apply for
Yes,
this grant." Right? You are out there, and so
first
I can
time.
see that.
Yes,
I can see that. I can see right the leadership using these new platforms to because again, some of these programs get lost. I mean, there's thousands of grants and there's thousands
it's
of
so
contracts, and
much.
we're like,
Yes.
look, why don't we start looking? So I've seen you push out like, please apply if you want to be a woman-owned business center.
Mhm.
Please apply for this.
Mhm.
I've seen it. I've seen your
Yeah.
posts, I've seen your
Yeah.
content, and I love that because you're using the new like the 2024
Social media.
social media,
Exactly.
right? Because
Right.
that's where we're at, and that's
Right.
where I've
You
been saying
can't
for many
just
many years.
post it. Right. You just can't just post it on grants.gov. You can't just
Right.
post it on sam.gov. Sometimes I'll be looking for something on sam.gov and accidentally run across this great small business set aside. I don't care what agency it's from. And I will just copy it, paste it, and throw it on LinkedIn to say, hey, if you do this kind of work, you need to go after this opportunity.
And I
So
can tell you, I've seen it, and I've said, "Wow, this is great." I've shared some of your stuff with people as well, so
thank
this is
you.
that's amazing, and I like that kind of leadership. All right, I'm gonna let you go ahead and spill it, 'cause, so tell us the great news. What's
So
happening?
So we launched on the 16th of October. How many days ago was that? 10,
13, 10, today's the 29th,
13.
13.
Today's the 29th.
Mm,
On the 16th of October, we quietly launched my SBA certifications, this brand new platform that will allow firms to apply with one application and come out with multiple certifications. One letter that says, hello, Eric, you are certified as an 8A hub zone, whatever. I'm not going to say woman owned because you can't have that. But this this letter will come out and say all those things and certify you in every area that you're eligible for the first time in the history. And it will allow companies, to do this in much shorter time. 40% reduced time for a single application. Anyone that's applying for multiple applications, it's a 70% reduction in
wow,
time of what they would have otherwise had to do. We did webinars and women-owned businesses applied right there on those webinars, submitting their applications in 30 minutes. So, like, this
wow.
is just, we simplified it, we simplified the rules, and we're certifying firms. We are certifying firms. So it's really exciting. One of our acting directors, Vaughn Tran, she started last year or early, yeah, last fiscal year. She started doing certifications on the spot, and that just really created this buzz of, oh my goodness, is the SBA going to be at this conference, and are they going to be certifying firms on the spot? It's just a simple thing to bring
Wow.
excitement to our certification, um, and she would just get a pack of applications that she's getting ready to sign, contact those firms and say, hey, are you happen to be in Miami next week, or you happen to be
Okay.
in New Orleans
Uh-huh.
at the 8A conference, and then just certify those firms on the spot, make it a big deal. Like, why do we have to just do normal day to day? You
Right.
know, let's just bring some excitement to it. So we're going to be signing multiple certifications. People that have put in one application are going to be on the spot certified in multiple areas. So
Oh, that's
we're
incredible.
we're
That is
excited
incredible.
about it.
Congratulations.
And you know, Eric, the president has increased the small disadvantaged business goal. We're supposed to reach 15% by 2025. Like, this is huge, a huge goal. We
Wow.
did 12% last year. I mean, I didn't even think we could do that. But now we are certifying firms easier, and we believe we're going to meet that goal.
What was the previous goal?
5%.
So you've tripled it.
5%.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
President Biden has. And
That's
I was so
incredible.
excited. The work that we're doing with the certifications, Vice President Harris announced it out of the White House, I think, last week, Friday. I was like, oh my goodness, our work is coming out of the White House,
Wow.
and I reshared it. And I never take time, let me say, I don't want to ever act like what I'm doing and the opportunity that I've been given to reshape government contracting, like $170 billion a year program, that I don't take it lightly. And I get so excited. Like, every time I'm in the White House, I'm still like this little girl who's from California, so giddy and excited. Like, I don't want to act like a total grown up when I'm in there. I just want to, like, oh my gosh, I'm in the White House. And I
That's
see
amazing.
people, they're walking like, oh yeah, this is happenstance. I just do this all the time. I'm in there with my selfies, taking pictures like, I'm in
Uh-huh.
the White House.
I
So it's
love that.
exciting to me.
No, that's great. That's amazing. And so now, is this open to everyone to apply? I know you said just did a soft launch,
It
right?
is
It's open to
It is a
everyone?
it was a soft launch. It is now open to everybody. So, to all your listeners, certifications.sba.gov. Go in, claim your business, get a login. If you're a veteran, the login that you had, it will work. If you're not a veteran-owned small business certified by the SBA, you're going to have to create a new login. Sometimes people pass through this little note on our website that says, please, thank you. That's excellent. So
Okay.
get a new login if you don't already have the VetCert login, and you can jump right in, claim your business, put your UEI information in there, and start applying. If you already have a certification for one area, you can apply for another. We've had people that were certified veteran, and they just didn't want to go through the process of 8A because it seemed very daunting.
Right.
It's easy now. And one of the things I noticed when I was running the 8A program a few years ago, there were firms that were paying someone 4 to 8 to $10,000
Yes.
to complete an application for them. And
Yeah.
guess what? That was for one certification. So what if
Mhm.
they were eligible for 3 or 4? And still, there was no guarantee that the SBA would approve that certification, even if you paid a consultant 10,000 for my WOSB, 10,000 for my vet cert, and for my 8A. Now it's easy, one application, and you can do it all on your own. So we're excited about it. The other thing is, used to apply, and it just seemed like your application would go into a black hole. We
Mhm.
have now on the site, we have a phone number and an email address, and we have a team, partly contractors and then government employees that are dedicated to helping you get across that finish line, even if you have to share your screen and they walk you through the clicks. So it's exciting.
That's
Yeah.
great news. I remember the original 8A applications were paper submissions, and you had the stack of
Oh
papers,
my
you had to
goodness.
mail them in, and then they would get lost,
A
and
big box. Yeah. And sometimes they would say, "Oh, you're missing one paper," and they
Right,
would mail the whole thing back, and then you would
right,
say, "No, that was in tab
right.
18." Then they
Yeah.
would mail it back and say it was on the wrong form.
Mhm.
So, that was my first big impossible task, is to get us out of that paper base. That's back when
Thank you.
2015, 16, that was,
Yes.
and I was running the 8A program to get it on certify.sba.gov, and, I think that's part of one of the reasons they called me back to help pull, now that we have the Vet Cert program that came over, and the administrator, that is a gold standard. Like, when we brought that program over, a lot of folks were telling the SBA administrator the SBA was not ready to bring over Vet Cert, but she said, "No, we're going to do it, and do it like a platinum standard." And we certified over 20,000 veteran firms in the last 18 months.
Wow, incredible.
20,000 in 18 months.
That's
So,
incredible.
yeah, we're super excited.
I love it, I love it.
And
Ha
here's the thing, Eric. Whenever a firm doesn't have certification in a certain area that they're eligible for, and they're looking on sam.gov for a contract opportunity, and it could be set aside for women, but they're waiting for their WOSB application to get processed. It could be set aside for 8A. They don't have 8A yet. They're waiting for their application. They're not eligible for work that they could otherwise do. And so
right,
it's really important. Like, it's not just certifications to put on a business card or capabilities document or a website. This gives you access to even bid on that work. And so when we think about it, we could have thousands of companies unable to work and continue work for their employees or grow because they're waiting for certifications. And so we've cut that red tape. See, I'm wearing a red dress today because I am the red tape cutter.
I love it, Red Tape Cutter. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. I know how hard you work, and I know how hard your team is working. We've had some
Yes.
calls about that, and I think for me, I've always, admired the work of the SBA. I think that they don't get enough credit because, they're this big agency that does a lot of things, and I don't
Yeah.
think half the people know
Yeah.
half the stuff that you're doing. I mean, we're talking about even down to like the SBIC program and the bonding programs and the like they don't understand
Yes.
all of the vast sheer
Yes.
nature of what the SBA encompasses, not just
Mhm.
from the certification standpoint, but from the loan programs
Exactly.
that are out there,
Disas
right?
dil
Yeah,
disaster loans.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been getting
Lo
disaster loans
loans.
since I was a little
Yeah.
kid.
Wow. And helping people, buy and acquire businesses with loans,
Right.
because you don't have to, grow your company from the ground up. There are plenty of small businesses that are available for acquisition, and you can come to the SBA, put 10% down, and we will fund that business acquisition for you.
Yeah, no, I it's so many incredible things that I just wish that you had the ability to market all the good stuff that you were doing, and I see, like, that's where you
Yes.
guys are lacking. You don't have the ability to market and
Yeah.
say, "We
To
do
really
all of this
push it.
stuff," and really push it.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
hope we can amplify that and give you a microphone and maybe also get you to
Thank
come back
you.
and get some other people from SBA to come back and talk about the different programs so we can
Oh,
educate the public
yes.
and the consumers on
I think
all
that
of the
would be
vast.
great.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like from the
It
SBIC
makes
program,
sense.
the 504
Yes.
program, the 7A program, right? Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Even now, you just released Empower to Grow, right? And
Yes.
so
Yes. That's really exciting.
see, so,
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
changing
Doing a
names.
little homework.
You're talking to Eric Coffey. I don't hey, hey, listen, I didn't wait 5 years to get here and fail, I want to make sure I was have some value to add as well to the conversation. But no, this is
Well,
great.
Eric, yeah, Eric, I think, one of the things I would definitely also love to see is to get, my director of policy, Sam Lee,
Okay.
policy planning and liaison. So like, we just released the hub zone rule. He released the rule of two, but he can talk in depth, frontwards, backwards, upside down, any regulation that is in the Code of Federal Regulations, because they're authored out of his office, to support government contractors. So I definitely think he would be a great, addition. A lot of people don't know what my director of government contracting does, Francine Morris. She's a senior executive, and she has procurement center representatives that work for the SBA, but sit in government contracting offices. So every time an acquisition is released and a contracting officer wants to doesn't want to set it aside, her team is there to say, no, following the rule of two. I think I found two or more small businesses that can do the work to push small business set asides. And this past year, they increased set asides by $6 billion just by going after work that wasn't set aside and saying, no, you can't do them. You couldn't find any in your market research. We're going to help you. $6
Wow.
billion.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
money found. That's a lot of money found. Wow. Thank you. That's great. And again, these are things that people out here doing on our behalf for us.
Yes.
So, since you're doing that on behalf, what can we do to help support that? What would you like to see from us small businesses listening?
One of the things that small businesses still don't grasp is that we can push all the rules and regs for the rule of two, but the way it works is we post something on sam.gov, and if two or more small businesses respond to the sources sought synopsis, we can set it aside. Every time I go to a conference, I hear small businesses saying, don't respond to the sources sought because by then it's too late.
Mm,
So who benefits? If small businesses don't help us by two or more responding, two women, we can set it aside for women. Two 8A, we can set it aside for 8A. Or if one 8A responds and it's under 4.5 million, we can sole source it to them. Two vets. Or if one of each type of small business responds, we can just set it aside for small business. But if they don't respond because they believe it's too late, guess who benefits? Large
right,
companies.
right,
The large companies are out there telling small firms, oh, don't respond to the source of sought synopsis because it's too late. And then guess what happens? It goes unrestricted.
wow,
So, I would just say contracting officers do not have to put anything out for sources sought synopsis. Um, they could just do a synopsis solicitation and put it out small business in the way that they know. The only reason why they have to put it out is because it's likely they're trying not to set it aside for small business. And you have a small business advocate or a PCR saying, no, you need to do a source aside and let's do market research. But if they already know they're going to set it aside, 8A or woman owned, because the last procurement was that way, they just put it out.
mm,
The only reason they're asking for the sources sought is because they're thinking maybe no small businesses will respond and I can give it to one of the big boys. So help me help people respond to this. Like get the word out that it's not too late.
thank you for that. I didn't. That's an interesting perspective that I had never heard before. One is that they're putting it out because, right, I assume they're putting out because, again, they're looking for small businesses that can respond.
Mhm.
But you're right. I see so many requests where they say
Yeah.
that they have not responded, and so this has to go full and
Mhm.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the only way we can do the rule of two, I mean, that's what the rule of two is if the government finds two or more capable small businesses that will bid at a reasonable price, the FAR Part 19 says we shall set it aside for small businesses.
right, right, right. That makes sense. So let's get back to your role as associate administrator. What are some of your top priorities for supporting small businesses and government contracting today?
Top priority is, of course, I shared one, which is simplifying the certification process. The other is training and education. So you mentioned Empower to Grow. Empower to Grow used to be called 7J program. And it's because it came from that section of the Small Business Act. That's where the funding comes from. But our Administrator Guzman said, let's change it. Like people don't, when I go out and I'm talking about 7J, people say like, what is 7J? What does it do?
Right.
And so she wanted to change it to empower to grow. We're empowering you to grow. in this training, there's classroom training, there's one-on-one coaching. We have people that will help you and your team learn how to put together proposals, learn how to read solicitations. It doesn't just have to be the owner of the business development person or the team that writes proposals. You really should educate as many people on your team as possible, especially if it's free education. And you never know who's going to leave the organization, and you just want certain skill sets just running all throughout out your team. I even tell folks, if you have employees on staff at a federal site, let's say you have 3 employees at the SBA, 3 at HHS, they should be looking for opportunities at those agencies. Like, they represent you. Give your employees bonuses if they can bring back work from the agency. They may overhear, oh yeah, we're getting ready to stand up something. Take it back to the CEO and see if he can come in and do a capabilities briefing on that opportunity. You already have a relationship with the agency, but use your people. But we don't think about teaching people that are on site how to do business development. And here, the SBA will teach it to anyone on your team for free. And so
Right.
you can have every employee really should have a goal for business development, should have an incentive to help, you know, grow the company. And so the other thing we did is we just launched a new agreement to help firms that are 8A in their first and second year. So you've heard, a lot of people have heard that sometimes 8A companies aren't successful. And
Mhm.
it's really in that first 3 years when they're struggling. And one of the big reasons is they've asked and sought and got certification because they were eligible, even though they weren't ready. The
Mhm.
worst thing is to get 8A certification and your 9 years starts ticking and you don't even know what RFI stands for, sources sought.
Mhm.
You don't know the difference between an RFI and an RFP. You don't know what a GSA schedule is, or you just don't know any of the basics of these things. And and now your clock is ticking. And I always tell firms, just because you're eligible for that certification doesn't mean you're ready for it. Take time and learn to write proposals, learn to submit sources sought RFI, learn to navigate in the federal marketplace, build some relationships, even with um, be a subcontractor. Get your foot in the door, then get 8A certification. But we're doing a program now that as soon as you get certified 8A, for that first 3 years, you're going to get a deep dive, not just with your business opportunity specialist in the district office, which sometimes they are overwhelmed and busy, but we've hired a contractor to really go through your business, tell you where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are, and what agencies you most likely will have an ability to win work with. And then it gives a footpath for the BOS to just guide them through that process.
Right.
Um, so yeah, we're hoping, I mean, we just launched it, so it's brand new, and we hope that it will be successful.
That's incredible. I hear that all the time from 8A companies that they had a bad experience, that they didn't get any
Mhm.
help that they needed. So all of these efforts, I mean, it sounds like you're listening, you're taking back the notes and like, let's go fix these issues. And you're making it easier for
Yes,
the companies now to be successful. You're making a smoother pathway.
definitely, definitely.
You
We're trying.
No, this is great. Well, now let's talk about how's your experience with the current administration shaped your approach to expanding the small business industrial base?
Wow. There's so much, but what I will tell you is in January, um, the White House released a memo on multiple award task order contracts.
Okay.
And over the last 10 years, 40% of the industrial base for small businesses shrunk because of the way the government implemented category management. And what is category management? It's a decision from a contracting officer to award a multiple award contract, meaning more than one contractor can win. And for a period of time, 5 years to 10 years, only those contractors on that vehicle can bid on that work. And so it really tightens up who can do the work for a period of time. They made these contracts so big, 500 million, 1 billion, and small businesses did not have the past performance to get on them. So they thought, let's just award them all to large businesses, and then the large businesses will give small businesses subcontracts. Also, they said, we will never take a small business award and then throw it onto one of these vehicles. Well, that's what happened the whole last 10 years. Is small businesses saw their small, 1 million, $2 million projects going under these vehicles that they didn't have a seat on, and they lost that work, and we lost 40% of the industrial base. So the Office of Federal Procurement Policy, Sam Lee, who's my director of policy planning and liaison, has been working with them and the FAR Council to release this memo that was released in January, to increase small business participation on multiple award task order contracts. So if you are going to award those large vehicles, um, and and close them to a select group of firms for 5 to 10 years, small businesses have to have a seat as prime contractors on those contracts. So, so let's say you have a contract. I'm going to talk about T4NG that was released out of the VA. And it was one of those billion-dollar vehicles as well. They had to set aside work for small businesses and large and have unrestricted. When they did it, the small business past performance was basically the same as a large company. And so small businesses really, without doing a joint venture, a lot of small businesses didn't have the past performance requirements to get on that vehicle. So
Mm.
even though they awarded 15 small business set asides, 13 of the 15 are joint ventures, which is a small business partner with a large company because they needed that large company's past performance.
Right.
So one of the things we're doing now is make sure those contracts, now that they come out, it's not just, yeah, you have to give a portion to small business and large business, but when you evaluate the past performance requirement, that needs to be different. The requests for past performance need to be different for the unrestricted portion. So let's say if they want a large company to show 5 examples of contracts valued at $6 million that's relevant past performance, then on the small business set aside portion, it should be half that or a quarter of that. Another contract that came out, I think it came out at NASA. Um, no, I'm going to say I don't know what agency it came out of. I don't
Okay.
want anybody beat me up. Listen, they will come after me, Eric.
I know they're gonna come after you.
But one of these vehicles was awarded, and it required a contractor to have a cost accounting system, an approved cost accounting system. And there were contractors that were small businesses, and their work was going to be rolled up under this vehicle. They were excluded from the competition because they didn't have cost accounting standards, even though the work they didn't require it. When the contracting
Mm,
officer put out this solicitation, they knew that a handful of the acquisitions would need cost accounting standards. So they just left the past performance huge and they left that requirement, even though it didn't apply to everything. Where it really should have been the small business past performance requirement didn't require that, and then the unrestricted did. Or a small business could go after those if they had those task orders if they had cost accounting standards. But you shouldn't have eliminated all the small businesses that could have been on that vehicle, especially when out of maybe 100 task orders to be issued, only 5 would have required the cost accounting standards.
wow.
So we're just trying to help contracting folks across the country at all these agencies think differently about the impacts of those requirements on small businesses. And if they really want small businesses to play, then the past performance, the size of it has to be meaningful for a small firm.
How do you see the role of the All Small Mentor Project program evolving in coming years?
Oh, okay. This is something new and it's not even finalized yet. Okay,
Okay.
so this
Okay.
new idea, and you know what? I love talking about new stuff. Sometimes people say, "Don't say anything because you don't know if it's gonna happen." It's gonna happen, hopefully, but we just talked to Farouk, who's the director of small business programs for Department of Defense.
Mhm.
And 2 years ago, DoD had their big mentor protege conference, and it was at the same time the SBA had their mentor protege conference. And
Okay.
so small businesses had to decide, do I go to Florida to DoD's or do I stay in DC? Um, I think DoD has one every year. We have one every other year. So we just talked to Farouk Von Tran, who's our acting director of the 8A program, and she also oversees the Mentor Protege program. We asked him, can we consolidate the Mentor Protege conference and bring all the federal agencies that have a Mentor Protege program to that one and make it one huge joint conference? And it's going to be in Puerto Rico this year.
Ooh.
Yes. And
Okay.
so, we're trying, Puerto Rico is a hub zone and we love our Puerto Rican firms. And I went to Puerto Rico a couple of months ago, and I was so surprised to find out that billions of dollars are spent for work in Puerto Rico, and those contracts are being given to firms in the mainland, in the US,
Right.
in on the mainland. And those firms in Puerto Rico should have first dibs. Like, why would we be bringing in
Right.
contractors and employees when we have people right there in Puerto Rico that need jobs, need opportunities, and they can do the work. And
Mhm.
anything that we think they can't do 100%, they can subcontract up to 49% of it to
Right.
somebody else. Like, we need to bring back jobs and opportunities. So I'm really excited about that. It'll be a joint mentor protege conference. You can have one trip, and a lot of people don't know you can fly to DC round trip back and forth to Puerto Rico for like $260. It's cheaper than going to, Dallas and some of these other places.
Wow. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Mhm. So get ready.
I'm going. When is it? Do you know the dates? I'm going.
No, the dates,
Okay.
I don't have the dates locked in yet.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Um, what was do you know the amount of, you threw out a number earlier about 170 billion. What was the total value of contract awards to small businesses this past fiscal year?
Um, it was over 170 billion. The
Mhm.
numbers will not be finalized until January because we
Okay.
get every agency's um, contract awards except the Department of Energy, and that's because with the Department of Energy, it's different. They get credit for their subcontracts. They get
Okay.
prime credit for their subcontracts, but they have to take time to calculate that.
Okay.
But we are going to again far exceed our goals. Agencies are leaning in. I mean, we just last week we gave the agencies their new goals for 25 and these new goals to help us get to 15% SDB by 2025.
Okay.
And a lot of them think they can't possibly do it, but it's the bottom line. This goal didn't come from the SBA. It came from the president of the United States. And one thing I've learned in DoD, which was, bulk of my career was with Department of Defense, is I learned order, structure, and chain of command. And when the top boss says, this is what we're doing, our job as public servants is to just get us there. And regardless of whether we get to the goal, exceed the goal, we need to just give 100% of our effort to getting there and get as close as we could possibly get and have that goal to just, move forward. Not say, I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think I can't. Like, because the moment that I tell my leadership, I don't think something's possible and they're asking me to do it, I might not be the right person for this job.
Mm.
Like, why would I take this job if I'm walking in the door saying, I don't think it's possible for us to set up this certification process that should take 4 years to do it in 10 months? If I don't think it's possible, I'm not the right person.
No, I love that. I love that. Can we talk about some of your early experiences, like when you were the deputy director of small business programs at the Pentagon? What were some of the challenges you faced back then in driving contracting goals, and how did you overcome them?
Oh, this was a good one. You know what? I want to go from the Army a step
Okay.
back to when I was at the Corps of Engineers, because that is what, like, one of my favorite stories to tell.
Okay.
And this was, I was a brand new GS-15, and I just got assigned to be the director of the Corps of Engineers Small Business Program. So I had to figure out, oh my goodness, I just took a job and I'm not going to do well in my first year. And I'm not one to say this is how it is. Let's just ride it out. And so I just start trying to make an assessment, like doing my assessment of what is going wrong here, because the bulk of the commanders at the Corps are West Point graduates. And they are
Mm,
people that do what they say they're going to do. Like when the Corps says they're going to do something, they do it. These commanders do it. Like you can write on their word. And so I was trying to figure out, why aren't they meeting the small business? Like, this doesn't make any sense. That is totally being blown off and nobody cares about it. Well, the issue was the director, Tracy Pinson, of the small business program at the Pentagon, was giving a core a goal of like 30% small business. And each of the commanders at the different district offices across the states, the previous director of small business at the Corps, was taking that same 30% goal and giving it to every commander, regardless of whether the commander could do it or not.
mm,
Because some commanders are, building new levees in New Orleans. Another might be building a new hospital at Fort Belvoir, and another may have just grounds maintenance and custodial work, or different things that are suitable for small businesses. Not that construction and building a hospital is not, because it is as well, but what I did is, instead of just giving that 30% goal to every commander, I set up meetings with all 50 commanders and I said, "What do you want your goal to be based off the kind of work that you have?" And they told me. And I just gave them that goal. Like, what's the detriment? We weren't going to meet the goal if I continued to do what they were doing.
right.
So some said, "Oh, I'm actually doing 50%. I can do 50% the kind of work I do." Oh, another
Mm,
said, "I can only do 8%." Okay, here's your 8% goal. And they all committed to a goal, and then they did what they said they were going to do. And
mm,
we not only met the big goal, we met small business, we met the small business, the woman owned, and the veteran owned. I'm going to tell you something else to help us meet the veteran owned. And the only thing we didn't do is a little bit didn't get to the hub zone goal. So
mm,
that year that I did this, my commander, who's three-star General Van Antwerp, we typically have this big conference, and you invite a speaker to come, and they would always invite some bigwig from the Pentagon to come and do some boring speech. And I said, "Can I have somebody else come speak at the small business conference?" And he said, "You can, Jackie, you can do anything you want." And so I picked Don Halfaker. Have you ever heard of Don Halfaker?
no.
Dawn Halfaker of Halfaker Associates. She was a brand new 8A service disabled vet, woman owned small business. And she was about 28 years old and she had her arm blown off in Iraq.
Mm,
She was a West Point graduate, Dawn Halfaker. Um, and so Dawn had this little contract at the Army Small Business Office. She was barely trying to get any work at this time, and I had her come in and I said, "I don't want you to talk about having a business and wanting contracts and capability. I want you to get on this stage in front of these 60 commanders and small business leaders from the Corps. And I want you to tell them about your story of graduating from West Point and wanting to be an Army officer. And at this time, Eric, if you got a limb blown off, you had to immediately get out of the military. They allow you to stay in now, but at this time, you had to get out. And I
mm,
want you to tell them what it was like for you to wake up and know that you had to get out and not be able to serve. And that's why you started a business. And now you just want that opportunity to continue to serve, but you're not going to be in uniform." She got up there, gave this story. These generals and commanders, they started crying.
mm,
And we blew up that service disabled vet goal that year. And the Corps has met it every year since.
Oh, look at you.
And
Oh,
so
wow.
Dawn Halfaker, of course, she ended up getting Corps of Engineers contracts, but she's probably one of the most successful 8A stories. Not higher than Dave Stewart, if you know about Dave Stewart and worldwide technologies.
You mean
Um,
this Dave Stewart?
what?
You want this Dave Stewart right here? Okay. You
You know he
oh,
was an 8A company.
I know all this stuff. He went from
Okay, all right,
17
I
to
know,
70.
you
You
know
know you're
all.
talking to, right?
Okay,
You
okay,
know,
okay,
he went
okay.
from 17 million to 70 million during the 8A program. Okay. I know his
That's
numbers. I read his
crazy.
books. I This is part of what I
What?
use this is part of my training to small businesses. Okay.
Oh,
I got two people that I use for
wow.
training. Okay. This is part of my training regimen that I
Oh
use.
my
Okay. When I
goodness.
spoke at the
Okay,
DOE,
okay.
I mentioned this, and I know people that work with Reginald Lewis because again, they've been around that long. This isn't ancient history. This is
Okay. Okay. I don't know who I'm talking to.
It's
So
okay.
anyway, Eric,
I
I
got
mean,
one
she
more.
grew
We'll share it
what?
up. We'll share it. Now, this is a different one now. You know Abe Abrahams?
Yes, I love him. Of course. Oh, yeah, that's a good story.
This is a great story.
That is a
So,
good story.
hey, I I
Yeah.
I do my homework. Okay.
Okay.
Now you see why I'm giving. And
Okay.
by the way, I've made so much content on sources sought and RFIs, and I've grabbed clips from NASA, and I've showed people why it's important. It's
Wow.
probably been the majority of my content when I talk about opportunities is respond to sources sought. So I have been pushing that message for 5 years now. But I'm
Wow.
only one
I
person,
love it.
but I'm
Yes.
happy that you reinforced that. But yes, I am.
And the
This
reason
is
why.
my literature for small businesses.
Okay. I love it.
But go ahead. You say so.
Well,
So
Dawn
she.
grew yes, so
Uh,
Dawn grew her company and then she graduated from the 8A program and she sold it.
okay.
And I forgot what it was, but it was some like big crazy number that she sold it for. Um and she's just was such a success. But at the time that she came for the core, she was a small woman-owned 8A service disabled vet company that was not getting a lot of traction.
Wow.
And that is how I overcame the core not meeting their goals, is to bring in not this typical stiff Pentagon speaker. Anybody from the Pentagon watching this, don't hate me. I just had to I had to bring in some excitement. And look, I am now my own, presidential appointee, and I could be one of those stiff people. Like this is something I had to embrace. I thought people aren't going to take me serious if I keep acting like a cheerleader and being excited about everything. Like, Jackie, calm down because all the leaders look stiff and boring, and you need to act like that if you want to get promoted. And I just could not, like, I could not get myself to that. And I had to just say, this is my own. This is it authentically me. Like, I'm just this
Right.
person that is going to get excited. You're going to have to calm me down. Like, this is who I am. And once I just accepted my personality, um, I was able to just continue to go. Like, I really didn't have to apply to a lot of jobs, Eric. I was always pulled up to the next level.
Wow.
Why? Because I understand order and structure and chain of command. And when a leader says, we're going to do something impossible, my hand was the first up to say, I want to help do it because I want to do impossible stuff. I don't want to sit behind a desk and do something boring. And like now, this big thing I'm doing now, once we get over this and get it fully implemented, I can pass it on to the next junior leader to come in behind me and continue to do the next thing. Like my kids hate me to say this, but it's the truth. I'm a senior citizen. I got no business still at work. Okay. Let me retire. I'm going to be 60 in December. So like I have driven on this road. I've done great things. The thing that wakes me up every morning is I know I'm helping small businesses live out their dreams. And um but it's time for y'all to let Jackie go.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
Jackie has done it.
Well, Jackie, we thank you. But before we let you go, we got a couple more minutes before we let you go. If I let you go off this call, because I don't know if you'll ever do another interview. So I gotta squeeze for everything before you go. This is I waited 5 years now.
I
I
know.
I
But
waited 5 years.
Eric, every time I saw you, I was so excited to just
Thank you,
give you a hug and a kiss. And what
thank
about
you.
your son, your handsome little
Oh,
son?
my son, he's doing amazing now. He actually, you'll see him in Miami. He'll be there.
Okay.
So, actually, he is coordinating the entire filming of the event. So all the camera people, all the audio,
Wow.
the video. He's actually doing that now. He's
I love
responsible for
that.
all of the graphics. So all of the backdrops, all the
Wow.
signage, the brochures. His team is doing all of that. So right now he's in the throes. In fact, we had a team call while we're doing this interview right now
Mhm.
with the team that's pushing all this content. So he's handling his team is handling all the signage, he's handling all the graphics, he's handling all of the
Oh
audio, the
my
visual.
goodness.
So he's going to be
So
responsible
he
for what this
launched
looks
his
like.
own little business?
So it's interesting that originally we were starting a business for him to do this on his
Mhm.
own. But let me tell you something interesting. That's a great story. Uh, he was living here near me in Boca, which is a lot of very wealthy people that come down and live
Yes.
in Boca Raton, right, when they retire.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
interesting is that,
Well,
uh,
except me, because I'm gonna be retiring on government salary.
oh, so you won't
I'm
be in
not
Boca.
gonna
Don't worry.
be
You won't be in Boca.
no.
You will not be in Boca. I can tell you that now.
No, I know.
So you don't have to worry. You won't be in Boca. Okay? Because the government is going to be like, how does she got a Boca?
Government
They're going to go back
salary,
into
yes,
history and see what you did to get the Boca because they're going to be like, this PS15
basically,
don't pay for Boca.
something is wrong.
Something wrong. She did some extra stuff to get the Boca. So, but I'll tell you, it's interesting. But so I would encourage him, like, hey, don't just sit in the house. Go out and go to some of these nice restaurants and sit at the bar by yourself and meet people.
Mm,
So he
yeah.
started. So he could only afford to go out on like this happy hour for oyster nights with like dollar oysters. But
Yes.
what's interesting is that because everything's really expensive. And so what's interesting is that every time he would do it, one, he was the only black kid because that was just the area.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
he would
mhm.
meet all these very wealthy individuals that came from all over the world, and they would start
Oh,
imparting their
wow.
wisdom upon him. Well,
I love it.
you know what I learned about um, being in a wealthy area, going to a specials night, right? Like a happy hour specials night, is
Mhm,
that
mhm,
those were the
mhm.
people that did not inherit their wealth. They built it. So they still value the dollar. That's
Oh,
a little
wow.
hack to teach people. So
Yes.
those are rich people that worked hard,
Mhm,
earned their money,
mhm,
so they still value
mm.
it. So they're still going there for the happy hour like him, even though they don't have to, they still know the
Wow.
value of the buck. So
I
he
love
met
it.
hardworking entrepreneurs and business folks, and let me tell you what they told him. Some of them had good relationships with their kids. Some of them had poor relationships with their kids.
Mhm.
And they said, if you were working with
Mm.
your father and you have a great relationship, make him rich first. Don't go out and start your own business because to make somebody else rich and
Oh,
then
I
ruin the
love it.
relationship. Stick with your father and spend your time and energy pouring into him because guess what? You already have a good relationship. So guess who's going to inherit all the benefits anyways?
Yeah,
You are.
yes, it's all for him.
And
Right.
so after hearing that
I
from like
love it.
think about this.
Mm.
Imagine hearing the same thing from like 5 or 6 different rich people who they're not connected, they don't know each other. There's no relationship. He came to me one day and brought this up and he said, Dad, I know you want me to have my own company. He says, but to your point about chain of command, mentors and things like that, he goes, these
Mhm.
all these guys that have all this money, that have all this wealth, are telling me the same thing that
Yeah,
why should we divide up the family's resources, divide
and
up
be
our
out there
energy
on his
and
own.
be
Mhm,
and then splitting up
mhm.
when we could come together and work on something great, build
Wow.
that up. And then now, I mean, one, I'm gonna get the benefit anyways, but two, I won't even need it because I will have worked with you in helping build it. So I will already have all the skills, the tools,
Yeah, and
be
know
able to
how to carry it
know how to carry
on.
it on. So he
Oh
made
my
that
goodness.
decision. That was I think I don't know if it was earlier this year, but he made that decision. And so we decided not to go in that direction. And so that's why he's supporting all the things that we're doing. And I'll tell you offline some other stuff that we're working on. But now he's just 100% behind everything that we do, regardless
I
of
love it.
what direction we go in. And
I love
it's
it.
true. I have one of another student of mine who's, he's in his 60s. He said the same. He told my son the same thing. He says, "I missed the opportunity to work with my dad's business when I was younger. My dad
Mhm.
ended up selling that company for it was $20 million back say
Oh,
30 years
wow.
ago. His brother who stayed with the dad never worked again in his life." And this gentleman ended up having to work
Wow.
a job because he was trying to build his own thing separate that was already up and
Mhm.
running. It was already had a history, had track record,
Mhm.
and he
Mhm.
just had
Mhm.
to insert himself and support, and he went a different direction. And so his brother lived a great,
Yeah.
wonderful life, 20 years,
Yeah.
had not worked, had a successful,
Wow.
he went on to struggle and he was successful, but not to the same degree. And he worked a
Right.
lot harder
Right.
when he could have just leveraged his dad's resources and what he had already built and continued that legacy. And so that was a decision that was made by him, not by me.
Wow. That is amazing. I love it.
So as you can imagine, think about now with the 24 agencies coming, his team is in charge, responsible for the cameras, they're responsible for the programming, they're responsible
Yes,
for all the
this is
stuff.
a big deal.
Yeah, we've already been, and I asked to do another event for the labs and DOE coming up in February now with the energy
Wow.
companies. So we're going to be putting that on. We've been asked to do another event. So this is getting us a lot of attention and national spotlight. So we're very excited.
I love it.
And he's
I
going to be
am so
behind powering the
excited.
whole thing. So
Wow. It's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So why don't you tell the audience if they don't know about your daughter?
Okay, so I have 3 daughters,
Mhm.
and they are all Army officers. So my
Wow,
husband's retired Army lieutenant colonel, and he, served 26 years, and then he taught Army Junior ROTC at a high school for 12 years after he retired from the Army. And, my 3 daughters are Army officers. One is a nurse, and one is an Army personnel officer, and then the other works for the Army Corps of Engineers, and she's a transportation officer. So,
wow.
yeah, I'm really excited, so proud of them. Beautiful women, homeowners, you know, and, just smart girls,
I love it.
smart girls.
I love it. I love it. Oh, what do you think is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see some of the trends headed for federal contracting and small businesses they should be aware of?
I think, you know, definitely there's going to be more multiple award task order contracts. We're going to make it easier for firms to get certified and get access to those contracts with the rule of two. But I don't want firms to focus. I need firms to understand those contracts get awarded, and I'm having an issue here. Those contracts get awarded, and they can be 5 to 10 years, which
Right.
means if you don't get access to them, you could be shut out from that agency specific type of work for 5 to 10 years. So don't just go for the single award, one customer type opportunities. Also try to get on some of these vehicles because it also will give you task order opportunities for a period of time exclusively with another group of companies where you can build a relationship with that agency.
I love it. I love it. Um, can you share, and I know you shared the story of Don Halfaker. Do you have another example of
Mhm.
a business that significantly benefit from SBA mentorship or one of its programs that you could share?
Oh my goodness. Yes. So many, like Travis Mack,
Yeah. Okay.
one of my favorite multi-millionaires.
Yeah.
Um, Ty Logan from Obsidian Solutions. Do you know Ty Logan?
I do not know Ty.
Ty Logan, 8A graduate, he won a $100 million contract from Department of State early in his 8A.
Wow.
And he just continued to grow, and he continued to grow his company and has really been successful. He's out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Melgar Facilities Management, which is a company started by two brothers, and they took a custodial company over from their parents, and it was just their parents cleaning houses. They got it 8A certified. Now they have contracts in 50 states and over $100 million in contract backlog. Yeah, Melgar Facilities Management.
I love that.
Um, oh,
As we're closing out, if you were not in government contracting or working with the SBA, what do you think you'd be doing instead?
Okay, this is a good question, and nobody would be able to guess it, Eric. Let me get first, you tell me one guess of something you think I would do so I
Um,
can see if you can guess.
I will tell you this because I learned. Look, I'm gonna give you a political answer, right? We're gonna answer your question with
Oh, okay.
a. I would, I would be playing the piano on a cruise ship. Like I'd like to be a cruise ship director, like the person in charge of all the gaming and the
I
fun.
love that.
Something like that where I get a chance to every day engage people, make them laugh, make them have a good
Mhm,
time, have a great experience
mhm.
for the 3 days, 5 days that they're on the boat. So that's what something I would like to do. And I still inspire to play the piano on a cruise ship, like at the piano bar.
Wow. Okay, that is wonderful. I love that. Okay, so I would be a comedian.
You see? There you go, entertaining people.
I am so funny. I know how to come up with jokes. And when I'm on a cruise and they say we're going to have stand-up comedians, I get up.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
I
Okay.
actually can do that. And
So
so
that is
then the
good.
other thing, yeah, so that is number one. Like I've always wanted to be a comedian. No, but I mean, I need the stability of a good government job. That's what my grandmother said.
Okay. Uh-huh.
But the other thing I would do now that I have all this experience with, entrepreneurism, I would have my own dog park with a dog pool. So just buy a piece of land, 1 or 2 acres, and then get dog pools built into it, and then just be the host and let people come and let their dog swim.
I like
I'm
that.
a big puppy lover. So, yeah, and I'm still thinking about that right now. Like, where can I find some land to build a dog park with a dog swimming pool?
I think that's great. I think you should do it. And you should definitely do it in
Thank you.
Florida.
Yes,
Because we
definitely.
have we have a lot of people here. They would send their dogs. You have to babysit them dogs too, just so you know. They're gonna have to. They
So
gonna pay you to keep them. They're not just gonna take them to the park or school. They're gonna be like, "Can you just keep it? I'll be right
go
back."
drop them off.
Drop them off. So it'd be a dog sitting service, and like a dog goes to like a resort with a pool and everything.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let's do
yeah.
it. I
My
got it.
my people in my building would sponsor you. I'm telling you, I know 1,000% they
Oh,
would sponsor.
wow.
So you're good. And tell us what one thing that you're most proud of in your career.
I think the thing I'm most proud of is, it's my faith, right? And I think about one of my favorite scriptures is Jeremiah 29:11, which is the Lord saying, "I have a plan for you, plans to prosper you, and plans to give you a hope and a future." And I think the thing that has helped me be successful and see positively into others is my faith. It's not something I can talk about every day, but for sure it's what I'm writing on. Like there is nothing else powering Jackie Robinson-Burnette but her faith. And it's the thing that I can that keeps me joyful, that keeps me motivated because I don't have to think that everything is within my power. Right? Like that's why I'm ready to do something impossible because it's not me anyway.
Mm,
I'm leaning on something else that's bigger than me to help me get it done. I just have to believe that and trust that, I can be a vessel to get it done. But if I really thought the power was within me, yeah, we might be limited.
I love that.
But that is the thing that just inspires me. And when I wake up every day knowing I'm making a difference for people that have dreams, like it's not like uh, it's not a career where I'm going and the same thing happens every day. Like every phone call is different. Every issue, whether it's a contractor needs to get paid. This morning, soon as I walked in the door, this was so exciting. I got a message from the White House that they need to urgently award a contract to an 8A company. And yeah, it's like, can you intervene in this area? And so, like, every day is something different.
Wow.
And I love it. But the thing is when I look back, um, My grandmother used to say this in church all the time. When I look back over my life, when I look back over all the small companies that I have touched or have touched me with their stories, that I've been able, sometimes a simple phone call, that you can pick up the phone call and help someone. And you just look at all of the people that have built these multi-million dollar companies. Like, look at Travis Mack and taking his son to school. Like, I don't know how Travis may have gone to school on a ROTC scholarship,
Right.
but these business owners are able to send their kids to college. Their kids will be able to send their kids to college,
Yes.
and they'll be able to just impact the world in a completely different way. Doors flying open, not just for them, but for the next generation.
Yeah.
For the next generation. And so that is the thing that excites me and keeps me going. And it's not, like I said, it's not because I'm necessarily, got it all within my power, but it's trusting that I'm being used to be a vessel. I'm a vessel for others.
And then what is final word for small businesses listening to this that they can take away?
Final word. This is going to be, I mean, there's so many final words, but I want to just give this final word of an area that breaks my heart sometimes. Is I do see these multi-million dollar businesses, and I saw so many go bankrupt during COVID, and so many that after 3 months of losing the last contract or the last contract payment, they couldn't sustain, and they went bankrupt. And so, while it's good, I want business owners, all kinds, to tuck away, save, and some of these firms that went bankrupt, they went bankrupt driving a Jaguar. They went
Mm.
bankrupt wearing the fanciest clothes, wearing red bottom shoes. Like, while the money's good, tuck some away. Like, tuck it away, because in the end, you want to have at a minimum a year's worth of reserves for if something would go bump in the night, that you're covered for a year. Entrepreneurs can always get back up, bounce up, create another business. Like, they're always going to know how to create money. Like, this is a difference between an entrepreneur and a person that has a job. A
Mhm.
person that has a job has to wait for someone to give them a job and an opportunity. And entrepreneurs create opportunity. Like, I'm very entrepreneurial, even though I've spent all of my time in the federal government. That time when I was out, I had a business. I was running a business. That's why you would see me at conferences, and
Mm.
I loved it. I loved having my own little business. Um, but we can always create avenues for money and wealth. But now, can you maintain it? Um, and if things were to go bump in the night, can you last a year? And that's what I would tell entrepreneurs, is to live a little bit more frugal and tuck some away.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jackie. It's been a pleasure. Uh, I'm
Yes.
excited, and I know that the people, I can't wait to release this episode, and I'm very happy because, like you said, I'm also a person of faith, and that's why I made the comment that I made before. And so to be able to roll out this announcement here on the GovCon Giants podcast of something that
Yes.
I created, that I built, as like you said, as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
going against the grain, going against the odds, and to also
Yep.
be able to have you come in and present at our summit. That again, something else that we built and created, right? Um,
Exactly.
and so
Yes.
now we're having an opportunity to spread that word and bring that, expand that reach to our South Florida community. And we look forward to having you. We look forward to hosting you. And so thank you for coming on and sharing this. Thank you for all your hard work that you're putting in. I know it's tough for your team. And I know that you guys probably don't get enough credit because we don't know all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. So it's hard to like
Yes.
give you credit when we can't really see it, right? And
Yeah.
then
This is true.
it's really difficult because, like you said, you're not necessarily giving us the contracts. So we're like,
Right. Right.
so we don't really know. Like you're advocating and pulling and pushing. And I learned something today about the market research, which I didn't know. I thought that they
Yeah.
did it because they wanted to put out market research and they wanted to find the rule of two, and I didn't know that, right? But
Yeah.
this has
Yeah.
been exciting. It's been great, and I appreciate you coming on today.
You are so welcome, and thanks for having me. It was really fun. It was
Thank
really
you.
fun.
Thank you. I'll see you in Miami.
Okay.